In this lesson, we'll talk about typography in SystemFlow, and I'm on the Customize page. The font that we are using for SystemFlow is obviously in Project Settings. Here you'll find the Fonts tab, and we are using Inter. We have regular 500, 600, and 700 with Latin signs as well, Latin font. So you can easily exchange it to whatever Google font you'd like, and then delete the one that we've imported so that your project runs quicker. Also, you can upload your custom font like WOFF or TTF font. And the last option is Adobe fonts. If you use Adobe CC, then you can paste in the API token here and you can use all the sets that you have in Adobe. Now, let's get back to the Customize page. And the first thing you can do with fonts is select the body element. In whatever page you have, just select body element and then body all pages HTML tag selector and the styles. And here you have the typography options. Those are base typography options that you'd like to change at the very beginning of each project that you run with SystemFlow. So we have Inter, but you can select fonts from the list. Those are default fonts for Webflow. Also, you can add your fonts from the top of this list. So now I've changed my font to Inconsolata, and as you can see, all the elements are formatted with this font. So everything boils down, it bases on the body all pages HTML tag. All the headings and the body text, the structure that we've created is all based on these properties. And the properties that we've set for body all pages, you can see them in blue. So we have the size of 1 rem and also the height of 1.5. So all the typography is based, the measurements are based in rems, and also the margins and padding around things like headings and stuff like this are in rems, so that we have responsive typography, and I'm going to talk about that later. Now, if you select the heading, you'll see that we have the heading XL class applied, and this is another convention that I've showed you recently. So you have the class name, and we have some of those settings applied to the combo class XL, and some of the settings are applied, CSS styles are applied to the base class, which is heading. So the ones that are applied to XL are in blue. So the things highlighted in blue are applied to the very class that you have selected in selector, and the orange ones are inherited from, in this case, body all pages. So if you click at this, you can see where it inherits the value from. It comes from body all pages. It means that this font is indeed inherited from this base body all pages HTML tag, and you can change it in here. If you change it, it turns blue, and now we've changed the font Inter to Inter just for the heading XL. If you want to change the font for all the headings, it's as easy as removing the XL class, and now you can see the properties in blue and in orange. Again, those are applied to this heading class. So if you want to change all headings to Inter, you just delete the combo class, the XL, and you change the font, then you can reapply the class. Now you can see that the font is no longer blue because you are editing the combo class, and this is inherited from heading indeed. So this is pretty straightforward, but you have to remember about those classes and combo classes, and you have to be aware what you're editing in terms of styles. The body text, as you can see, this is the same mechanism. You have body text small, medium, large. We have 3 classes for body text, and you can just change the settings as you'd like. So just remember to keep in mind that you have this body text as selected right now. Some of the properties are inherited from, let's say, body all pages, and they are in orange, and some of them are just for this class, they are in blue. So this is pretty important. In terms of headings, we have this heading XL, L, or M class, and if you check out settings, this is also the appropriate heading type, in this case H3. However, we don't really use the HTML tag for all H3 headings. And why is that? Well, it's pretty simple. We want to keep the styling separate from the structure of the document. The structure of the document is defined for multiple purposes, such as accessibility readers, such as indexing in search engines, and we want to make sure that we don't mess with the styles and the structure at once. So we have heading XL class, and below you have, so under the hood, there is obviously an H1 tag heading type, but if you change it to, let's say, H5, it doesn't really matter in terms of styling. So you can have this big bold heading, but you can decide that, well, it's not the most important heading for SEO, and I want to have it as like H2 maybe, or H5, and you can change it, and this doesn't depend, the styling doesn't depend on the heading that you choose. Okay, now apart from this customized page, we also have a specific page for typography. If you go to the design section and typography, you'll see that we have all the elements that I've shown you in the customized page and more. So there is more components that you can use, and basically those are also components that you can find and you can place in your design. For example, heading XL. So we've made also components from body text elements and headings. And if you'd like to use them without the components, you have to select add, then heading, then go to the settings and change it to, let's say, heading 3, then apply the styling. So you're going to search for our class. The first class is heading, and then command return again and search for, let's say, medium or XL or whatever you want to apply. And now you have a lot of different steps, but we made components so that you can quickly press command E and then search for heading XL and then use it as a symbol. You have all the headings as symbols, and this is super easy to just insert this in here, and you can also change the text as an override, so you don't even have to unlink it. Okay, so this saves a few clicks, obviously, and I really encourage you to use this command E search command in Webflow. It's super useful, and I don't use A or any other shortcuts at all. I just tap command E and you can search for whatever you want. Okay, now for the typography, you can see that all the headings are symbols, and also we have a rich text component that is a symbol indeed, and rich text is used for some specific sections. For example, for a blog that you run on a website, this is a specific structure for text, and it can have different styling for headings and paragraphs and all the things that are inside of this rich text. It's also great for using dynamic content, because within CMS you can also place things like videos or images inside of the rich text. So for the rich text element, we have one class. It's called rich text, and we don't have specific styling for headings. In order to style the element, select, for example, a heading and then all H1 headings, but please note that you can nest this all H1 headings selector inside of rich text, and you have to click this little plus icon in order to make changes to only those H1 headings that are nested inside of the rich text class. So this is what you're supposed to do, because if you won't nest it, then you will modify all the base classes for H1 headings. Now, when this is nested, you can obviously change all of the properties of these headings, and you can style them however you want. We didn't style those elements on purpose. Usually you want to have rich text style a bit differently than all the headings that you have in body text, so this is why. However, it obviously inherits all the base elements for body HTML, all pages tag. Then you have tagline and text wrapper. This is also a small symbol, a small element that you can use, and also the centered one we've created because we find that we use those quite often. Then you have list elements, and instead of adding the list element from the add menu, I recommend you to skip the add menu whatsoever and don't use it ever again. Just use command E and use the components that we have. You can then type in an ordered list or ordered list, and there is a list with 3 items, and you can easily edit those items within the overrides that we've created. If you use the list items, you can see that those are inside of these components. You can just copy and paste it to have more, or delete to have less elements in the list. And also we have an ordered list with an icon. So we've created a version of that that will allow you to quickly change the icons for this unordered list. I'm going to search for unordered list with an icon. And there you have an override for the icon as well. So what I recommend doing first is changing the icon. You can find the icon names in the material design reference. So you type in the name from material design, for example, lock, and Then you can change the text with the override, but if you want more elements, you first unlink the instance, and then in this list you just copy and paste the items so that you have more of them. But I changed the icon first so that before unlinking, I can have all the icons as I wanted. Now we also have alignment classes. So this is text align left, text align center, text align right, and also text align justify. You can use those on all of the text blocks that you have to quickly align it, and you don't have to use the positioning options in CSS. So that's it about typography, and we're going to talk about sizes next.